Today is the day. It's the day I finally rank all of the Fallout DLC based off of the classic ranking tier list. So, this is my personal opinion, obviously. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so before I get this kicked off, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. Also, if you are going to be in the LA area for the Developer Direct for Starfield, as well as the Xbox Game Showcase, I will be there. Bethesda was kind enough to offer me a invite. They're going to be showing those directs. I think they're pre-recorded, and I'm pretty excited about it. Anyway, so I'm going to be starting with what I think is the worst DLC in my opinion. Sorry, don't come for me. I do think there are some good ones over here, but if we were to average all of them total, it would be the worst. Anyway, that's Fallout 4, as I'm sure you could have guessed. So, starting off, strong week, whatever you want to say, I'm going to begin with the Wasteland Workshop DLC. I honestly barely remember what's in this DLC because, like many of the DLCs in Fallout 4, it's kind of just like an add-on for stuff to work on in your workshop, which I guess is cool, but because I can't remember what's in it, it kind of feels like stuff that's in the base game or should be in the base game and you shouldn't have to pay extra for, but yeah, anyway. So, we're going to drop that down to I guess E. I'll be generous. I like what's in this, but it's not my favorite. I don't know. Anyway, moving along. I don't know. You know what? No. Mm, no, I'll leave it at knee. Next up, we have contraptions. Contraptions, you might remember this one. No, wait, you don't? You don't? I don't either. It's the same as the Wasteland Workshop one. I barely remember what's in it because, again, it feels like it should be in the base game, although it does allow you to build some, like, contraptions and stuff. However, I don't really use the contraptions. So I'm going to think that puts it firmly in the F category. I know. I'm starting off with the rough ones. Okay, so next up, and arguably one of the better ones. The Vault-Tec one actually does give you a quasi-decent quest, I guess, where you get to be the overseer of a vault, which is kind of cool, but it's barely a quest, and I don't even think I've touched this DLC because of it. But because it has a quest, I'm going to allow it to be ranked slightly higher. I'm going to put that in the D category. No, I'm putting it in the E category. It's still bad. It's still not very good. All right, now we're getting into the better tier of the Fallout 4, in my opinion. Automatron. Automatron is kind of just a glorified dungeon quest, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not necessarily a good thing either. But it does have a pretty firm quest, and of course adds a bunch you can do with robots afterwards. And of course, Ada. We have no beef with Ada. She's a great little companion. So I'm going to put this one in the C category, which I'm actually surprised at how high I'm ranking this one. And that is, honestly, it got bumped up to this category just because of Ada. Gosh, bless Ada. She is a gift to the wasteland, and we needed her, and I like giving her meaty legs. Next up, Nuka World, a fan favorite. Not particularly my exact favorite of Fallout 4, but it's not a bad DLC by any means. It's just, I think it's firmly mid. It's definitely mid for me. It's not, it could be better. It could be better. It felt somewhat empty and unfinished, although I will say I really do like the elements of it. I like that you get to be a raider. I like the lore that it adds. There's a ghost in it, which is pretty fun. It also has like basically the Fallout version of the Winchester Mystery House, and it's the Fallout version of Disneyland, and it's, also Sierra Petrovita is there, who's from Fallout 3. Great callback to her, and just the fact that it's basically Disneyland. I hate Gator Claws, though. I will say that. Gator Claws, not fun. But because it's not the worst DLC, it's hard because it's better than Automatron, but it's not. I don't feel like it's a B. I'm gonna bump Automatron down. Sorry, Ada, your rank got lowered again. We'll put it in C. It just feels it feels like it's better than that one, but not in the B category quite yet. Far Harbor. Far Harbor is one of my favorite DLCs of all time. Although I will say, if we're being, real about it, they kind of just took what worked in Point Lookout and slapped it into Far Harbor. Not necessarily the worst thing they could have done, but, interesting. I also like Far Harbor because it adds the element that you could be a synth into the game, which wasn't in the base game, which is incredibly interesting to me. I love that it adds that feature and that, that interesting note. Um, and the Dima Nick Valentine relationship is such a good one. It's so beautiful. They're such great characters, and their dynamic together is very interesting. And just something about taking a boat to a different place in Fallout is so reminiscent, and they really pulled on the member berries of Point Lookout, but it isn't Point Lookout. It just knew what worked in Point Lookout and used it again. And you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not mad at it. This DLC felt more complete than the entire game of Fallout 4 as a whole to me. And for that, you know what? You know what? I'm going to put it in the A category. A. I love it. It's a great DLC. It's a beautiful DLC. And just the atmosphere, the lore, Longfellow, every freaking thing about it is so good. The factions, it just feels more fleshed out than the base game. And obviously, they had more time than the base game because it was released after the fact. But dang, it was good. Dang. And after that one came out, I was like, wow, I didn't waste my money on buying the whole like pack of the DLC at once like I did. And then Todd was like, we're not going to charge you for any more DLC. This is it. This covers it all. And then of course they did the content creator, the content, the extra content club, whatever it's called. I can't think of the name because I'm mentally blocking it out. Okay, I'm going to move into Fallout 3 now. Fallout 3 has 5 DLC that are in it, and none of the DLC, unlike Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4, are just like giving you added items to the game, which I think it's the best. So Fallout 3 definitely has the most DLC. I know that when you're looking at this, you're like, wait, New Vegas. Well, okay, so Fallout New Vegas has the most DLC, but Fallout 3, some of these DLC are also add to the game in such a significant way that I consider them more than a DLC. In that the DLC, Broken Steel, allows you to continue on with the game after the fact, which is so cool. Yeah. So, but these are all quest-based DLC, which is unlike the other, the 6 in Fallout 4 and the 6 in Fallout New Vegas, which you will note, like, I also included Courier Stash and Gunrunner's Arsenal because I included the contraptions and Vault Tech and Wasteland Workshop add-ons, which are technically not even quest-based DLC. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I'm going to start off with the Pit. It's not my favorite of the Fallout 3's DLC, but that's not to say it's the worst DLC in existence. It's still very good. It's a very... The limitations in exploration in the Pit is like my only misgivings with it. I think the Trogs, I think the quest line, I think the fact that everyone's collectively forgot that quest with, munching on the baby is not actually in the base game. That's like a Mandela effect in the Fallout world for some reason. It's a mod. Anyway, but it is not the best too, because I would have liked more exploration, more open world. I really like the DLCs where you go to a new land and it's like a new, smaller version of the base game in some respect, with like a new quest line and all that. Very linear, not a lot of options. However, still a great DLC. I'm going to put it in the C category. I think it is on par with Nuka World to some extent. Because I do think Nuka World is rather good. I just don't think it's quite a B yet. And I don't think the Pit is quite a B. It's also very quick. I get through that one incredibly quick. Next up, Mothership Zeta, in a similar vein, is like the Pit in that it's very linear. There's not a lot of exploration. Once you leave a section, you can't get out of it. So I'm gonna slap that in the C section. Although I will say it's C section. Although I will say it is nice. It's a nice breakup leaving the world of the game. And the first time I did it, when I was being sucked into space, it absolutely blew my mind. I was shocked. I'm shocked. All right. Next up, Broken Steel. Super important DLC to the game. Like, one of the most important... I'm like rethinking some of my selections from earlier. One of the most important DLCs from the game, because it allows you to continue playing on after the end of the game. And I think for that reason alone, like the quest of it is really good. Bringing back Liberty Prime is really good. The fact that Broken Steel is canon in the Fallout universe is really good. Like I love all those elements. Like Broken Steel has to happen for the events of Fallout 4 to happen, essentially. I could do a whole video on that as well. But I think it's going to throw it firmly in the A category. And the biggest thing for me is playing on it after the end of the game. That is a feature that is... If you're going to have a game like 3 or New Vegas where it ends when you finish the main quest and there's no way of continuing past it, which New Vegas has, a DLC that adds that way, Chef's kiss. Also, the plot, great. Point Lookout. Oh, Point Lookout. Such a beautiful, amazing DLC. I mean, like Far Harbor, you go to a new land and it is absolutely gorgeous. And the quest line and the element where you have the punga fruit and then you get surgery on your brain and you can see the saw cutting into your brain. You're hallucinating. Oh, it blew my mind the first time I played it. It is the best DLC, bar maybe one or tied for another in New Vegas, which I'll get to. So good, so cool, such a the first time I played it, and it's so hard, and the weapons are fantastic in this DLC. All around, like, Bethesda put their whole I can't even say the word, but they put their whole into it, right? They put all of it into this DLC, and it's so good. If I could delete the memory of playing this DLC and then go back and play this DLC, I would. I would. Oh, is there a very specific way of deleting a memory? No, we're not going to do that. But anyway, this is going to put it in the absolute super duper excellent S category. And I'm not even going to make it too small because it's so good. It doesn't deserve to be small. Okay, now in Operation Anchorage, I liked Operation Anchorage to some extent, although it did feel somewhat, I don't know, small. It felt like a different game, which was either you love it or you hate it for most people because you're going back into the past, because it's a simulation, because of everything. But a lot of people a lot of people don't like this DLC. I personally like it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was new. I was shocked. I was shocked when I went into this one and I lost all of my stuff and the way you heal is different. And I just thought that was so interesting and cool. And because of that, it does drop it a little lower. It is different. And if you're not into it, it could drop it lower. And for me, the first time, it took some adjusting. But I will say, don't forget the winterized T51 power armor. I believe it's T51. Amazing. Best. There's also a glitch to get like all the stuff you have in the game out of, or the simulation out of it, which is interesting. Again, whole other video deserves that. So I'm going to put it in the B category. And I'm going to move the pit up there too, because you know what? If Operation Anchorage is going in the B, I think, oh God, this is hard. No, I'm putting it in C. Yeah, I'm putting it in C, but I am moving the pit up because it's very self-contained, like Mothership Zeta. The pit does have a bit more to it. All right, we're done with Fallout 3. Moving on to Fallout New Vegas. And yes, I did include the little extras that they threw in. I do love the Courier Stash, and I love Gunrunner's Arsenal. I love the add-ons that it gives you. Now, whenever you get an Ultimate Edition of the game, you get all of these things. They're super cool. I only ever have versions of the game that have all of these. So, you know what? I love all the things in it, but we're not going to call it a DLC. So if it were just based off the merits of the crap you get, that's extra. Top. I love it. I love the extra stuff. But because it's not a DLC with any plot of any type, we're going to drop it down. And we're going to put it in E. You know what? No, because it's New Vegas, it's going to get ranked up a little bit. Sorry, Fallout 4. We'll put it in the D. It's not a DLC with quest or anything like that, and same with Gunrunner's Arsenal, but it does add a lot of valuable stuff to the game, and some of the weapons that come in these, like the grenade launcher and things like that, I use continuously, okay? Don't at me that I'm ranking it above ones with, like, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's on par with Automatron. Sorry. Okay, now we're gonna go into Old World Blues. Again, another very, like, self-contained DLC, although there is a bit more to do and more to see in there, and, you get really cool stuff in it, like the stealth suit that talks to you, and just the mad scientists that are in this, the wriggling, dingling fingers. I don't know what I can say on YouTube. Hilarious, so funny, so camp. So many elements that make what Fallout is. This is if you took Wild Wasteland and you made it a whole DLC based off of that trait. That is Old World Blues to me. It's so funny and so good. However, it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite, but I'm going to put it in the B category with the pit. Just, they're both kind of similar in their amount of, like, exploration and how self-contained they are to some extent, but it's so funny. God, I feel like the pit is kind of half in, half out C and B, because I don't want to put it above Old World Blues. Whatever. Next up, Lonesome Road. This one was really unique, and you get so much backstory, and like there's so much juice in this one. There's a lot to take a bite out of. I feel like I really need to go back and replay it again because there is just so much to this DLC. There's like a lot of nuance and interestingness to it that is missed on a first playthrough. It's super challenging. I love how independent you feel throughout. It's so sparse and empty, and just following clues to get to the end. So good. I'm gonna put it in the B category. I think it is tied for me with Old World Blues. Um, Honest Hearts. Honest Hearts is so much fun. Of course, we have our main, you know, our main graham cracker, Joshua Graham, our little Mormon man that we love so much. It's funny, I actually saw Book of Mormon this weekend, and I feel like Joshua would like it. I actually feel like I saw it for my birthday. Um, so good, so good, but not quite in the S category for me. It's a firm A. It's definitely on par with Broken Steel and Far Harbor. It's some of the best DLCs you're gonna get out of a Fallout game. So beautiful. Going to a new land, going to Utah and exploring and just seeing Zion and like the mountains and the red rocks and the atmosphere of the whole DLC is just freaking fantastic and just so cool. There's so many sad elements, like finding a school bus of children's skeletons and lunchboxes, and like the plot itself of it, and what a fantastic DLC. Again, Obsidian, much like Bethesda with Point Lookout, Obsidian they put it all in. You know what I'm saying? So good, so good. And of course, Dead Money. Dead Money is the DLC that I believe is tied with Point Lookout for me. Such a beautiful DLC, so cool. The atmosphere of it, the the connection from Veronica, um, the connection to Veronica in it, and oh, like oh god, so many good characters in this DLC. The trauma that those freaking radios caused me, how challenging the DLC is. It's a constant grind and struggle, and it's not easy. And I loved that because the only way I play New Vegas is on very hard and hardcore mode. And by the end of Dead Money, I was running. I was running. I was getting chased, and I was just barely getting out on the skin of my teeth. And it nothing beats it. I mean, Point Lookout ties with it, but nothing beats it. You know, like what a what a cool world that they created in it, and the fog and the backstory and the uh, everything about it, everything about it. The scarcity of resources, the weapons you get from it, the gold, the lesson they try and teach you in the end, learning to let go, and then instead using a glitch to collect all the gold bars and leave and not learn a single lesson. It chef's kiss, on par with Point Lookout. Those two battle it out for me for best DLCs in Fallout history. And I can't wait to see, like, I don't know, 15 years when Fallout 5 comes out, if they're able to match this energy. I don't think, I mean, Far Harbor is close, but it is not quite up there for me. But I'm excited to see another Fallout try and get on this level of these two here, because when I say I literally wish I could delete my memories of playing these and go back and play them again because of how freaking good they are. So good. But that's just my takes, y'all. I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. And once again, if you're going to the Starfield Developer Direct screening in Los Angeles, the party that Xbox and Bethesda are having, let me know. I'll be there. Can't wait to see if you are going. And stay safe in the wasteland, kiddies, and have a wonderful day. Bye.